Well, 23 years is a long, long time. Actually, it's more or less 30 years being behind the microphone in some shape, form, or capacity. But 23 years being the lead voice of the Lady Vols. That is Mickey Dearstone, who announced earlier this week that he is going to retire from his post following the conclusion of this year's Lady Vol basketball team. We got Mickey on here now. And first and foremost, Mickey, congratulations. Well deserved. How has the last 24 to 48 hours been for you since the announcement?
Well, it's a couple of things. It's been a little hectic, and Eric, it's been a little emotional. It's kind of like losing something that's been a part of you for 30 years. It's kind of hitting home a little bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would imagine so for sure. What made it feel like now is the right time for you to step away? Because again, I think I speak for everybody listening and watching right now. When you think Lady Vols, I mean, obviously you think of the greats, you think of Pat Summitt and all these incredible players, but Mickey Dearstone is right there as well. When you think Lady Vols, you think Mickey Dearstone. So why now? Why is this the right time for you?
Well, Eric, I'll be honest with you. When the first time I thought about stepping down or stepping aside was back when Holly Warlick was let go. I thought it would be, like a clean cut, start all over, coaching, program, radio. And I first thought about it then, and then the more I thought about it, I knew Kelly from her playing days. And I said, no. I said, if she wants me to, told myself I needed to do it for a few years just to get, her feet on the ground and one less thing for her to worry about. And so I did it. And then in July, I started thinking that, that I'd probably had enough, because I've always, and Eric, you're in radio, and you'll understand this one day, but I always wanted to step aside before one person, regardless if it was a fan, a boss, a coworker, or whatever, but I wanted to step aside before one person would think that I had done it too long. And I didn't want people to say, he was good, but he might have done it a year or two too long. He's not as sharp as he used to be. And I wouldn't have known it myself until it was already too late. And I've always had that in the back of my mind, that I didn't want that to happen. So in July, I had told the Vol Network that I was thinking about stepping aside after this year. And then, Eric, in October, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and that just kind of solidified my decision, because I knew I was going to have to miss some games because of surgery. And I just don't like people having to do my job. If it's my job, I want to do it. Not that nobody can. I just have never been the type person that I wanted somebody to do my job for me.
Well, been doing that job for, I guess it's been somewhere around a little over 300 games. And reading the release yesterday, and of course, I knew you've been a big part of a lot of this, but I didn't know until seeing it in list form, being part of 5 national championships, 10 Final Fours, 17 Elite Eights, 25 NCAA tournaments, 12 SEC regular season championships, and 11 tournament championships. A lot of great moments for you. And Mickey, I know you've told this story probably countless times. I remember hearing you saying it. I remember, reading a story about it. But you and Pat Summitt were so close, and there was a point in time where you two discussed going out together. And then when it was time for Pat to step aside, I remember reading where she kind of turned to you and said, "Hey, Mickey, it's okay. You can continue on." Can you enlighten us a little bit more about that conversation and just what it was like, the relationship between you two, because everyone knows it was so strong.
Yeah, Pat and I had a really different friendship in that, she asked me one time, she said, "How have you put up with me all these years?" And I said, "Well, frankly, the first 10 years I worked with you scared the hell out of me." And then she just started laughing. And we were sitting in the lobby of a hotel one time on a road trip. And, she never called me by my first name. It was always Dearstone. She goes, "Dearstone?" Said, how long are you going to do this? And I said, I have no idea. I said, how long are you going to do what you're doing? And she said, until I don't like doing it anymore. And I said, well, I'm the same way. I said, if I get to where I'm not having fun doing it, then I'll step aside. And she goes, okay. Said, we'll make a deal. I can't quit until you quit, and you can't quit until I quit. Well, then after they had the event down at the Thompson Bowling Arena announcing that she was stepping down and Holly was taking over, I actually did the last radio interview with her. And I go back into the Lady Vol locker room, and I complete the interview. And I was all emotional and everything, and she was perfectly fine. And I remember saying to her in the interview at the end, I said, you're okay with this, aren't you? And she goes, yep, I've accepted it. And I said, you're actually doing better than I am. And so when we ended the interview, she looked at me, and she said, you need to keep doing this. She goes, I know we had a pact, but she goes, you need to keep doing this because you're too good at it. And so I kept doing it.
And, we're thankful that you have, of course, chatting with Mickey Dearstone, a voice of the Lady Vols, announcing his retirement at the conclusion of the season. That was made public knowledge earlier this week. Mickey, I still do it from time to time. I love filling in for John Wilkerson. I love getting freelance assignments, going out there and doing some play-by-play. That's how I started in this industry, and it's something that I still just love so much. And the way you go about it, I've always just admired. You wear your emotions on your sleeve. You paint such a beautiful picture. Any advice for young play-by-play broadcasters out there? Anything that we should know kind of moving forward about this realm?
The only advice that I think people need to remember, a couple of things. The first thing is that you have to have your own style. But basically, you're the eyes of the fans that aren't there. And if you don't tell them what's going on where they can see it, then you're not doing your job. And so I've always done that. I've always done it just like I was sitting in the 20th row, on the end zone or something like that, as a fan doing the game in my mind. And, when I react to what I think are bad calls by the officials, it's no different than if you're at the arena and you hear the fans moan and groan and yell because they don't agree with the call either. And that's what I've always tried to do. I had the best teacher in the world. My father was the best play-by-play guy that nobody knows about nowadays. And he always told me to do that. But secondly, there's three things that are important in a game. And that's time, score, and where the basketball is. And as long as you tell them consistently time, score, and where the basketball is, then they're able to follow along with you. So those are the two things. It doesn't matter about the entertainment part of it, or sometimes in a blowout I'll get to where I start entertaining a little bit too much or something like that. But it's not being able to do that. But if you'll do those two things, if you'll provide the eyesight for the people that can't see it, and do those and tell them those three things on a consistent basis, then you'll be fine. That's what they listen for. They listen for time, score, and where the basketball is.
See, and I'm glad you said that, because on yesterday's show, I beat my chest saying, as a play-by-play broadcaster, time, score, time, score, time, score. And see, now that the Hall of Famer said it, it's like, there's some credibility there for my words. So,
well, I'll tell you this. This is how I learned doing high school basketball. And that's where people should learn to do it. You shouldn't jump right into college. Do all the high school games you can. Some little AM station that might even have to, they might have to reduce power at dark and all that, and kind of hone your skill a little bit. But I remember when I started, after I'd done my first games, my father talked to me the next morning because I worked at the radio station with him too. And he said, do you have any idea how big a basketball court is? And I said, I have no idea. And he said, well, I'll tell you. He said, it's 94 feet long and 50 feet wide. And he said, that means the right side of front court is 25 by 47. He said, if you just tell them the basketball's on the right side of the court, they have no idea whether it's close to the half court line, whether it's on the wing, whether it's on the baseline. He said, tell them where the basketball is. It's not hard to add the word wing or baseline or out high or something like that. And it's just something I've never forgotten. And, I try to pinpoint where the basketball is so that people can follow along.
The little things matter, and you took it upon yourself to tell everybody the little things for 23, really 30 years, and that's why you are a legend. Mickey, thank you so much for taking some time. I know you're going through it's going to be a farewell tour for you the rest of the way, and I know you're not a guy that wants all that attention, but, just coming from a guy that's listened to you his entire life, enjoy it. Thank you so much, and continued prayers for and blessings for your health. And just thank you so much for taking the time here.
All right, Eric. Thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it. And good luck to you, too.